Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what to do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast, back at you with another one with my boys, Vlad, Barry, and today we got an amazing guest in the building, college lecturer, NBA contributor, host of A-List podcast, and a slew of other things. Sherrod Blakely, thank you for coming on. How you doing?
Good to be here, fellas. Good to be here.
Yes, sir, man.
Good to have you here. Thanks for coming on and joining us tonight on Pro Fan Sports Podcast. We greatly appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on this podcast. So we appreciate you, Sherrod.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to make this happen for a minute. Things finally worked out where my schedule allowed me to be on, and it was during when you guys were going to be doing your taping. So I'm glad we were able to finally make this work.
Absolutely, for sure, man. No doubt.
And right now you're in the good weather. You know, even though it wasn't bad up here. You're in Orlando right now. How's the weather down there right now?
I don't want to get into the weather because I don't want to make y'all feel bad. But let's just say T-shirt and shorts, I might be a little bit overdressed, put it that way.
Wow.
Oh,
It's warm, man. It's warm. This is like middle of summer Boston right now. So I'm not complaining. I'm not bragging either. I'm just I'm
stating the fact.
It's actually not that bad up here today. What were we in, like the 50s up here?
Yeah, it was in the 50s today in Boston.
Well, that's good.
A pretty good weather day.
Yeah.
I think it even got to 60 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it hit 60 at one point. I remember that. That sounds about right.
Hey,
I'll take that.
yeah.
Well, I'll take it. I'll take all the days we can get of 50s and 60s, especially in February. So, shoot, not complaining at all.
Facts, man. Sherrod, NBA All-Star Weekend just went by. I saw a report that a lot of people watched this weekend. Did you? Of course, you watched the NBA All-Star Weekend. What'd you think about the dunk contest and the weekend overall?
Well, the dunk contest, whenever you are small and you just happen to lack a little melanin and you're in a dunk contest, all the money should be on you because chances are if you do even a halfway decent job, you're gonna have a shot at winning. But Mac, get a man his props. There was some nice dunks. Tapping off the backboard, reversing. And you gotta remember he maybe 6'2", maybe.
Yeah, maybe on a good day.
He just absolutely deserved to win. And Jason Tatum did his thing in the big boys game, in the varsity game over the weekend. Him and Jaylen Brown really showed out. And it's you don't want to put too much stock in all-star games because no one's really playing no defense. But when you have two guys from the same team who are split up and they pretty much are the best players on their respective teams in an all-star game, I think you feel good. And by the way, they got the best record in the NBA. You're feeling pretty good about your chances of being the last team standing when all is said and done. But they got a lot of games to play between now and then. But I like what I saw from both of those guys in the All-Star game, not only in terms of the production, but at the end of the game when the final horn sounded, they both walked off. Nobody was limping. Nobody was clutching. There were no injuries. LeBron, he got hurt. And I think someone else, I can't remember who, may have left the game early with some type of injury as well. But the two Jays did the thing, got that check, and now they're ready to try to get a chip.
Yeah, I believe it was Giannis that left the game
Yep.
early. Right, he was in there for one play, got his dunk, got his bucket, fouled Luka, and was out and sat on the bench the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little issue before he came in the game, so I'm glad he wasn't out there, actually trying to make things happen. I think you hit on it. Some people were making a fuss about the game not being, a tough game. People weren't playing that much defense, but it's like, man, it's an all-star game. These guys don't want to get hurt. They want to get back to their teams and do their thing. And you're right. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, scored 90 points, together?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, 55 and 35. Yep.
Yeah, which was amazing. Jaylen Brown got 35 and 14. I'm like, man, these guys were putting in work out there. And Jason Tatum won the MVP, which was pretty nice, But now, coming up this week, man, we start the second half. I think we are a half a game over the Bucks right now for the number 1 seed in the East. Do you think this is something we can keep from the Bucks from taking over, or, are we not worried about that at all?
Well, I think that's something the Celtics have to really think about, because I do believe that home court advantage is going to be a big factor in them getting back to the finals and potentially winning it. And Milwaukee is a good team, and they're a team kind of like the Celtics, where they've got some pieces that haven't really been fully engaged this season that come playoff time are probably going to be problematic. I'm thinking specifically about Chris Middleton, who's not been as healthy as the Bucks would like, and even when he has been healthy, he hasn't been really that good. But to me, he's one of them cats that you got to worry about in a best-of-7 series if it comes to that. And if you're the Celtics and you are the last two teams standing, you want Game 7 in your building. And that's really what the home court advantage is about. It's not about, beginning the playoff series with more games at your place. It's about potential of having the last game of your season be in your building. That's what you want if you're the Celtics.
Absolutely, man. I agree. Another business that the Celtics took care of, right before the All-Star break, Joe Mazzulla went into the All-Star break as, the new minted head coach of the Celtics, number 19 in franchise history. Why do you think the Celtics chose now to give him that title? And what are the thoughts on Ime now that he's completely, out of the picture?
Well, let me start with Ime. I'm gonna reverse. Let me start with Ime and get that out the way. Ime is going to be coaching somewhere next year. His track record, as short as it may be, is incredibly impressive. I mean, first year out the gate, get his team within 2 wins of a title. But obviously, the off the court stuff is going to be problematic. He's going to have to explain himself in many, many ways about that. And I think for his own personal opportunities, it was a good thing that he didn't get that Brooklyn job, because the scrutiny that he would have been under then will be very different than what he'll be on now that some time has passed. So it's good that the Celtics have kind of separated themselves from that and can move on. And as far as Joe Mazzulla is concerned, the timing of it was smart on the Celtics part, because the last thing you wanted to do was have media from all over the globe coming to Salt Lake City, Utah, and Joe Mazzulla is asked over and over again, like, are you okay with being an interim head coach? I mean, it would be one thing if you're the interim head coach and your team is fighting to get into the playoffs, or your team is maybe somewhere in the middle. Y'all been the front runners for a good chunk of the season. And he's doing things that Ime wasn't even doing in his first shot at this head coaching gig. So the Celtics, I think they did themselves a favor by alleviating a lot of the undue scrutiny that they would have got for having him be an interim coach, when we all know damn well he should be the head coach. You come out and you do what he's done, you deserve to be the head coach. And it just made a lot of sense for them to do it when they did. I personally would have liked to have done it sooner, because I think he had earned the right to be the head coach before, right before the All-Star break. But again, it makes sense for them to do it when they did it. I just wish they would have done it sooner, because, like I said, the man deserved it.
Absolutely, no question about it. That was a no-brainer for sure. For making him the head coach with that impressive start. He's had, as well as the team has had, in the success they've had up to this point. I mean, it was only a matter of time. It was only, a matter of when, not if. So I'm surprised they waited as long as they did to name him the coach. But, I'm certainly glad that, they did it, and it's definitely very much well-deserved for Joe Mazzulla to be the head coach of this team moving forward.
Yeah, he's just got to get up off those timeouts more. You be stacking them timeouts like I used to stack chips back in the day.
Do you
Gotta
think?
let things go, man.
So that's his
Let him
only
go.
flaw, you think? That, he just doesn't call the timeouts and lets the team play and figure it out a little bit too much?
I get what he's trying to do. I mean, it does make sure you want guys to develop the ability to just kind of navigate their way out of their own mess. I get that, but at some point, you gotta remind people why you the coach. And what frustrates me about Joe Mazzulla, and he's done a phenomenal job, but what frustrates me more than anything is when they're on the short end of a 14, 16-0 run, I'm thinking like, bro, 8 points is when you need to just shut the valve and just say we need to slow this down and let's regroup. But Joe lets them play through that a lot, and I worry about them being in a playoff game and losing a game because of that. For me, that's the concern. It's not dropping a game to Oklahoma City or Detroit or anyone like that. It's what are you going to do when you are playing the Milwaukee Bucks and they go on a 12-0 run to start the game, and you clearly had moments when it was like maybe 8-0 where you should have maybe shut it down. He's got to get a better pulse for when he uses timeouts, because I would say that, again, if I had to be critical of Joe Mazzulla for one thing, it's the inability to know when to use timeouts and when to just let him ride it out. He's got to get a better pulse for that.
No, absolutely. He certainly does have to get a better pulse for that. No question about it. I think that's obviously the biggest, flaw that he has is not being able to, have a sense of when to call timeouts. But you kind of just want to get your thoughts on, on this team in general, where, they're at right now, and, and how the season's gone, and how do you see, the rest of the, regular season going forward, and as well as the rest of the season. What are your thoughts on what you've seen from this team so far?
They've been better than I thought. I didn't anticipate that they would have the level of load management that they've had. I mean, I figured Al was going to miss a good number of games, but you've had Al out, you've had Marcus Smart has missed games, Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown. You start going down the line, pretty much, Robert Williams III, pretty much everyone in their regular core group has missed a pretty decent amount of time, and yet there they are with the best record in the NBA. And so that's a credit to their – first, I give credit to Brad Stevens for putting a roster together that can actually sustain some of those departures and guys who are ill or sick or hurt. But then you got to give, certainly Joe Mazzulla his flowers for just stepping in and doing a really good job of just kind of steering the ship. And last but certainly not least, you got to give the MVP candidate, Jason Tatum, his props. This brother is making 25 and 7 look easy. That's a bad night for him a lot of times. And that, to me, is the sign of greatness when you're at a point where your bad nights look like career nights for most players. He's at that point now. And for him, winning, All-Star MVP, that's just the latest, crown on his latest gem on his crown as being a great player. A player who, if he doesn't get hurt, he will be the greatest Boston Celtics player ever. I have absolutely no doubts about that. It's like every time he does something, you hear Jason Tatum, the youngest Celtic to ever do this. Jason Tatum, the youngest Celtic to ever do that. Like, he's a four-time All-Star, the youngest Celtic to be a four-time All-Star. So to me, the only thing that he is really missing now is a championship. Once they win an NBA title, then Tatum enters in that conversation of the Mount Rushmores of Boston Celtics lore. Bill Russell, to me, is never going to leave that mountaintop no matter what happens. I got to put Kuzi in there because without Kuzi, all the ankle breaking that we see today and the no-look passes, Kuzi was doing that back when no one else was doing it. So I got to give Kuzi his props. And the third player in that Mount Rushmore, you could potentially have Paul Pierce, you could have Havlicek, but I think right now, Tatum he's a championship away from entering that conversation. And the scary part for a lot of people is he's so damn young. I mean, the brother's only 24 years old. And yet he's already within a championship away of being, I think, someone that you're going to talk about as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, no doubt, no question about it. That is all facts. It's, remarkable and amazing and, and incredible what, Jason Tatum is doing so early and, young in his career. Not even 25 yet, and he's already accomplished what, people accomplish in a whole career. So he just continues to impress and flourish. Each and every game and night that he plays, he's always breaking some kind of Celtic record, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I think that's going to continue to happen for the foreseeable future. But I don't know about, there's been some great Celtics, so I don't know about putting him there just yet on the Mount Rushmore, but I think we'll see what happens. He certainly has a lot of time to prove that, but I don't think we're, quite there just yet.
I have two questions for. Oh, go ahead.
No, you got it. You got it.
I wanted to go back to Joe Mazzulla and ask if now that he has the head coach title, does that put more pressure on him, or do you think that changes things a little bit?
On his bank account, no. It does. In fact, it's good for the bank account. We're good, Joe Mazzulla family. We're good. But I think for him as a coach, I do think it puts a little bit more pressure on him because now, before it was just like, okay, Joe, go out there, do a good job, and we'll reward you at some point, maybe. Now it's like, okay, Joe, we've opened up the vault. We've opened up the vault for you. We've given you the title. We've given you the cheddar. Now, are you going to get us that chip? And that's where I think Joe Mazzulla is at now, because he knew when he took over this job that when you come off the kind of season they had and you make the additions that they made, and I'm thinking specifically about Malcolm Brogdon and Gallinari before he got hurt, which was a great pickup. But the Celtics addressed their biggest weaknesses from last season to position themselves to be a championship contender now. And the season, the way it's been playing out, if they don't win an NBA title, it's going to be a disappointment. It is absolutely going to be a disappointment. You can't use excuses of injuries or illnesses because you've been dealing with them all season long. So your team is built for that type of adversity come playoff time. So you can't – that's not going to be a factor. It's about winning a championship. Anything short of that is a disappointment, particularly when you look out west. There's no Goliaths out west. You got a bunch of Davids running around the building. There's some good teams, but there's not a great team that you're looking at and say, damn, I don't know if they can get past that team. There's not a team like that out west.
I beg to differ on that. I think there's at least a couple of teams. I think, the new
that are clearly better?
I don't know about clearly, but, they can certainly beat the Celtics. They're capable of beating the Celtics in a 7-game series. That I wouldn't be surprised if we end up losing a 7-game series.
I would agree that there are a couple teams that could do that, but I don't think that there's that one team that you look at and say, Celtics, even if they get them the best of 7, they're not going to win that series. Like, there's no, Golden State in their prime. There's no, the Lakers when they were the Lakers, pre-LeBron, back when they had, real ballers. There's no team that's a definitive, overwhelming Celtics, you got no shot at beating that team. There's no one like that. They can beat every team that will step on the floor coming out the West. Now, Memphis, I think, could give them some problems. I think Denver could probably give them some problems. And it's really in Golden State, I will never, ever, ever count the Warriors out. But beyond that, I don't really think there's a lot of teams they need to be worried about coming out West.
What about the Phoenix Suns with KD? D-Book, CP3, that doesn't scare you or worry you just a little bit? I know they've had
I'm not sure
problems,
that Phoenix is good. Obviously, they're better with KD. I'm not sold on them getting it together as a group in time to win a chip. That's my big concern with them because KD, when you add somebody that impactful to your roster, and you already got some impact. You already got a future Hall of Famer in Chris Paul, and you got probably a future Hall of Famer in Book. I don't know how that's going to work. And plus, in order to get Durant, they had to weaken their overall roster. So they're top heavy, but they're not that deep. And I don't know if the lack of depth is going to come back and haunt them in the playoffs. Like, for example, Memphis, to me, is the one team that is built to come out the West. They've got dynamic scoring. They got a bunch of dogs defensively who don't mind smacking you around, which I love because that's what playoff basketball is about. They seem built to give almost anyone that coming out of the East a problem. Golden State, I'm never going to count them out because there are very few teams that have 3 future Hall of Famers on their roster. And for those who don't think Draymond's going to be a Hall of Famer, sorry, not sorry, he's going to be there. He will someday be in the Hall of Fame. But Golden State's a team that and they got a kid named Poole who can get it going on any given night. So there's some teams that the Celtics obviously are going to have to worry about, but I don't think there's nearly as many teams that if I'm the Celtics, I'm a little nervous about playing them because I think they're comfortable playing anyone out West and feeling that they could win that series in 5-6 games.
Are you worried at all about the minutes that Jason Tatum is playing? I just feel as though he's been playing a lot of minutes, and last year I feel as though in the finals he got tired. So, are you worried at all about that?
I'm not so much worried about the minutes. I'm worried about the toll that those minutes take on his body. Mm-hmm. I worry. I'm worried. I'm terrified about that because Tatum is having such a great season, and I feel as though they're getting everything they can out of him. But at some point, I would like to see those minutes drop down to be in the mid-30s, low to mid-30s. I would love to see, whether it's Malcolm Brogdon or someone on that roster be able to augment some of those minutes and allow Tatum to get a little bit more downtime because, again, he's such a dominant player who can do so many different things now that my concern is that because they've leaned so heavily on what he's capable of doing, that they're not going to he's not going to be as fresh as you'd want him to be. And obviously everyone come playoff time, they're dealing with this, that, and the other. But you don't want to make it any worse than it needs to be. I'd like to see him, play a few more minutes. And if it costs you the number 1 seed by playing him a few more minutes, that's a price you absolutely need to pay. Because you got a better chance of winning with a healthy Tatum and maybe having to win 1 game on the road versus having home court advantage and him not being at his peak condition. So, yes, I am very worried about his minutes because of the impact it will play on his body.
Yeah, I'm very worried about that as well. I hope before the playoff starts that they drop it to like 30 minutes, and then once the playoff starts, play him however many minutes is needed.
Oh, yeah. Once the playoffs roll around and all bets are off, if you need to play 48 minutes, bruh, guess what? 48 for you tonight. That's what you got to do. But the best case scenario for the Celtics would be to get a nice, comfortable lead in the East, and then you could just start cherry-picking games for him to miss. And ultimately allow his body to just kind of recover and just be as strong as he can be come playoff time.
Derek White's been playing really well lately and better than I thought he could. He's been shooting better as well. He's been shooting a lot better. And I like him playing, but I also really enjoy Smart playing, right? Because he brings that defensive mentality that we need. What do you want closing those games in the playoff, Derek or Smart?
I think it's got to go. You got to play it by how each of them is playing and how the matchup is working out for you. I think if you're playing a team that has really just, electrifying perimeter scores, I want Marcus out there down the stretch because of his ability to really cause havoc for folks defensively. If I need a little bit more juice offensively in terms of scoring, not so much playmaking, but just guys who can maybe get shots, I might go with Derek a little bit more. But again, more than anything else, it's going to depend on how they're playing and how their matchups play out. And that's a good problem to have. I mean, I either go with the defensive player of the year or I go with, one of the best shot blocking guards in the NBA. I think he's either first, second, or third and block shots as a guard, which means it's just crazy because it's not like he's he doesn't have the physical attributes that you normally associate with shot blockers. He's got decent size, but he don't got like 7'3" wingspan, tennis stuff, looking like, go gadget man or anything like that. He just has a way of being where he needs to be at the right time, contesting or blocking shots.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the trade deadline came and went. And, we didn't do too much, but I feel like we got a good piece and Mike Muscala coming in here, and it's already starting to pay off. Were you happy with what we did in the trade deadline, or you think we could have did more?
They could have done more, but I don't think doing more would have been the right thing to do. They really, the way they're built, they just don't need much. And when you don't need much, you run the risk of adding something that can tweak or throw off the chemistry that you've already established. And Mike Muscala, he comes in here, look, he's looking to get buckets. It's not even, every time I see him play, shot goes up within 10 seconds of him getting in the game, if the ball is in his hands. And I get it. That's why they brought you in here, to be someone that can stretch the floor. When Al is not around, you really don't have a big who can stretch the floor. Grant, I don't consider Grant a big because Grant's 6'5", 6'6" maybe. And, Time Lord, he ain't trying to shoot outside the paint. And Luke Cornett, he's done a solid job, but that's a solid job relative to what we expected. Not necessarily in terms of what he does in the grand, large scheme of things, which is why you go out and get a guy like Mike Muscala, who is similar size, not a 7-footer, but definitely on the 6'9", 6'10" range, can shoot the three, can score around the block, and his defense is not that bad. It's not he's not Marcus Smart or anything like that, but he's not going to kill you out there at that end of the floor. So, and you got him on a very, very team-friendly deal. There's no long-term commitment. It's a great situation for both him and the Celtics. He gets a chance to play with a team that's competing for a title, and they get an in case of emergency addition who's probably going to be in their rotation come playoff time. And so everybody wins when you add a guy like this with the right price, right role. Nobody's complaining about how things are playing out with that relationship. Except maybe Luke Cornett, because he's not getting as much burn anymore.
Well, what about Peyton Pritchard? He came out and he's vocal about.
They gotta do their Peyton on the team. No, I love Peyton. I really like Peyton. Here's the thing about Peyton. I have much respect for Peyton Pritchard to have the boldness and audacity to be like, yeah, I know we're a good team, but if they trade me, I don't mind because I want to get some run. Totally get it. Totally get it. He understands that in the NBA, you don't really have a long life cycle to get paid or play. So the longer you are in that, in case of emergency, we'll play Peyton Pritchard role in Boston. Those are minutes that you are not going to be able to get back because you could be helping another team. You could be playing, or better yet, helping yourself to establish your value in this league. So I get it. I absolutely get where he's coming from. Peyton's not going to play much. If Marcus Smart is healthy, Derek White's healthy, Malcolm Brogdon's healthy, you go back and look at most playoff teams that make deep runs, they typically go with 3 guards. Some may go with a 4th, but even if they did that, Sam Hauser would be that, not you, Peyton. So for Peyton, it's tough because you're just not going to get the opportunity to showcase what you can do because the numbers ahead of you, and we're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Week, Rookie of the Year. Malcolm Brogdon, the first second-round pick to ever be named Rookie of the Year. All the guys ahead of Peyton Pritchard are ballers. There's not a buster in the lot. So if you're Peyton, it's like, I can't do nothing but wait, put the word out that I don't mind being traded. And the Celtics, they looked at some offers for Peyton, but they understand that, he may not have a specific role, but they know if things change, if a guy goes down or gets sick, they could throw him in there and he can give him some juice.
Absolutely, man. Does the Bucks adding Jay Crowder and as of a few minutes ago, Myers Leonard, they signed him to a 10-day contract. Does that give you any pause at all? You know what?
Myles Leonard is a better player than he gets props for. He's not a great player, but he's not a buster. In fact, I like his addition more than I like Jay Crowder because Jay, who I'm a big fan of, I'm not sure there's much left in the tank. There's a reason why Phoenix made some of the roster moves and decisions that they made as they related to Jay. I don't think Jay's that dude anymore. He still has value. I just don't think the value is quite what it used to be. Whereas Miles Leonard, he can help him. He absolutely can help him. So to me, I look at that addition as giving them kind of like what the Celtics did with Muscala. Miles isn't going to go out there and play 25, 30, 40 minutes a night, but he makes them a deeper team. He makes them a stronger team. He gives them a proven, established player in case one of your core guys in that position goes down. So it's a good move for Milwaukee. And like I said, I'm convinced that at the end of the day, the conference finals will be Boston and Milwaukee, and it'll be a great series. It's going to be tough. I think home court advantage that's why home court advantage is so huge, because I think it will come into play in that series.
Do you think we get past the Bucks and go back into
home court advantage? Yeah. Got to win on the road? Right now, I would probably lean towards the Celtics slightly, only because I picked them to get to the finals from the beginning of the season, and I ain't deviating. They're too damn close for them to not get there. And to me, the wild card in all of that is Jaylen Brown. Tatum's going to do what he do, but Jaylen Brown is the guy that teams they seem to have problems figuring out how to handle him. He's able to finish at the rim. He's able to shoot the three. He's defending a little bit better. He's rebounding the ball pretty good at the guard position. He becomes the wildest of wild cards for the Celtics. And you look at his numbers, Jaylen really doesn't have a lot of bad games. He may not have a great one, but you don't see a lot of 3 for 17 games that you may see like 2 or 3. You may see 1 or 2 of those every month from Jason Tatum. You really don't see that from Jaylen Brown. So he's going to be a major, major factor in the Celtics getting beyond just the conference finals and getting back to the finals and winning it all.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel differently about you. I know you said that, home court advantage is important, and I do get and understand that it is important. But I know I'm just so confident in this team that I feel like they can be anybody and play anybody anywhere. So if it means they have to, play a Game 7 in Milwaukee, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I would still feel confident in this team's chances of winning a Game 7 or a big game on the road, against a really good team and opponent, if they had to, do that, because they did that multiple times, last year with the Game 6 in Milwaukee being down 3-2, as well as Game 7 in Miami. So, and they had more success on the road than they did at home last year. So I certainly feel pretty confident in their chances of being able to, duplicate that in this postseason, having a better team, this time around going into the playoffs as they did last year. Are there any concerns you have with this team moving forward, like injuries or anything that may keep them and stop them from, getting back to the finals and winning that championship? And do you see Grant Williams leaving at the end of this season, since he's a free agent and he wants to get paid and looking for $20+ million a year?
Well, I think that $20+ million is I want to get $20+ million too. I think Grant has a better shot than me, but I don't know if that is a significantly better shot than me. He's going to get paid. I just don't think he's going to get paid $20 million, and which is fine. I mean, he'll be fine. I think he will be with the Celtics, because I don't think he's going to have the kind of postseason that's going to make a team say, "Oh, we got to go out and get him and pay him $25 million." I don't think that's happening. The one player I do worry about is Robert Williams. I think that he is the guy that, when you look at all their core guys, I don't know if there's another core guy that has as much upside as he does and is still a significantly impactful player as he is. Robert Williams could be the best player at his position in the NBA in a year or two. His ability to play with the ball in his hands off the elbow, he's a great passer. He can rebound. He can block shots. His offensive game needs to evolve, but he's got so many tools that you feel that are in the shed that no one has really taken out and used yet. And if he figures out how to use them, I think he can be even more down. But my concern with him isn't so much him going to his toolbox and using it, but staying healthy enough to go to the toolbox and use it. His health is a big concern. And it is for every team with every player, but with him specifically, it's a big deal because of his track record with injuries. If he's healthy to play for the duration of the regular season and all the playoff games, I feel really good about their chances of winning Banner 18.
Absolutely, man.
Sure, definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Hey, Sherrod, man, it's been a real pleasure to have you come on the show, man. We knew you'd come in here and give us great thoughts and great content. So once again, we really appreciate you coming in and joining us on Pro Fan Sports Podcast. You know, we had a lot of fun with you, and you're always welcome to come back on and chop it up with us.
Appreciate it. Appreciate for having me. Thanks for your patience. I'm trying to make this happen. We've been trying to make this go down for a minute. We finally were able to do it, so I'm glad we were able to make this happen. Thanks, brothers. I appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. And we'd love to have you back for the playoffs at some point this postseason run. We'd love to have you come back, during the playoff run, and hopefully it's a long, lengthy one where we're playing into June.
Not a problem. See if we can make it happen.
Yes, sir. Have a
Sounds
good
good.
night.
Thank you, Sherrod. Appreciate it.
No problem, brother. Be good, man.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Awesome
That
stuff.
was
Awesome.
yeah, absolutely, man. He's a professional for a reason. That was Sherrod Blakely. You guys see him everywhere. When it comes to the Celtics, you can't miss that guy if you're actually a Celtics fan. So make sure you guys are supporting him, following him on social media. He's at Sherrod Blakely on Twitter. Make sure you're following him. Make sure you're following us as well. We're at Pro Fan Sports on everything except for Instagram. That's at profans_sports. Make sure you're liking the content. And please do us a favor. That little black button on the bottom of the screen, make sure you're pushing that subscribe to our channel. That's the best way to support us. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. So until the next one, man, we out of here.
Have a good week, everyone. See y'all next week. Thanks for watching.